Okay, what is going on right now with MagicBands in Disneyland? There are some major changes going on, but how does it actually impact our families who are coming in from out of the area and staying at Disneyland Resort for a vacation? In this video, we're going to break down exactly what these changes are, what they mean for you and your vacation. But first, if you're new here, hi, I'm Mara and welcome to Jetstream Adventures. I talk all things Disney parks and cruises for families with little ones. So if you're looking for advice from a real mom with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, hit subscribe so you don't miss a video. I'm also on Instagram at Jetstream Adventures, so let's be friends there too. Now let's bop to the top. 'Cause, Sharpay. So here's what's going on with MagicBands at Disneyland. Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California is phasing out the sales of MagicBand Plus in the resort itself. Shops in downtown Disney, in the parks, in the Disney brand hotels, you're not going to be seeing as much MagicBands sold, and they eventually are going to go away completely. But what does MagicBand Plus actually do in Disneyland? The most important function of your MagicBand is that you can use it as your ticket. You can scan into the park. You can use it for Lightning Lane redemption. And as a mom, I do find it really useful to have it on myself and my kids to quickly scan and get on with your day. If you don't have a MagicBand, you can also use your phone. That is a little bit more of a process. I have done it, but it's honestly annoying to whip your phone out and pull the app up. And it's just steps that you don't need to do. As parents, we're already carrying a bazillion things. It's so nice to just beep, scan your wrist, move on. With Lightning Lane Multipass, with the individual lane rides, you're going to have to scan some form of your ticket to redeem each one of those lines. Based on my own experience of using my phone, using Key to the World cards, using MagicBands, I find the MagicBand to be the easiest. Why Disneyland is phasing it out is because Disneyland Resort in California is an overwhelming majority of locals as guests, as opposed to Walt Disney World, where they get a lot more of overnight guests traveling in from out of the area. So Disneyland tends to be a more local experience, a more, day of experience stopping by, whereas Walt Disney World in Florida is a more all-inclusive overnight vacation experience. Even before these changes happen, you're going to see some major differences in functionality of what a MagicBand Plus can do in Disneyland versus Disney World. Some of the things that you can do with a MagicBand in Disney World, you've never been able to do in Disneyland, like scan into your Disney Resort room. If you're staying on property in Disney World, you can use your MagicBand as your room key, which is a very nice feature. You've never been able to do that in Disneyland. It just doesn't work. In Disney World, you can also pay with your MagicBand, and you've never been able to do that in Disneyland. So if you're coming from Disney World, going to Disneyland, you will find that there is a little bit less functionality. I know the first time I stayed at the Grand Californian, I was scanning my MagicBand at the Grand Californian and went down to the front desk and was like, oh, my MagicBand doesn't work. And they're like, yeah, we don't do that. You will find that there's always been some differences. And that's why, because Disneyland is more for locals and Disney World more caters to those overnight vacationers. But for us families who are traveling from out of the area and staying at Disneyland Resort as a vacation, I do still think that MagicBand makes the most sense out of your options. And here are your options. You can use the MagicBand. You can use a plastic Key to the World card, which is like a credit card sized card that you have to scan, pull out and scan each time. You can lose it. You can get it replaced. You can use your phone. You can save your ticket on your wallet app. You can pull it up on the Disneyland app. I have done this and I found that it's a lot of extra steps that you have to do. As a mom, I am already carrying a bazillion things. It's a lot easier to just scan my band than to use my phone. You also can technically use some smartwatches. For example, I know the Apple Watch has an app that you can download your ticket. However, when I tried to do this in 2022, we could not get my Apple Watch to work. I went to guest services. I tried at several different kiosks redeeming Lightning Lanes, and it just never worked. I would not rely on an Apple Watch. I think I ended up buying a MagicBand on that trip because it was just much easier to use. Also, as I alluded to with the purchases and sales of it in shops, yes, MagicBand is an additional purchase. You don't automatically receive it when you book a Disney trip. If you went to If you went to Disneyland like, oh gosh, I want to say like 15-ish years ago at this point. Yeah. There was a point in time where Disney World was sending you complimentary Magic Bands to use during your stay. That's no more. You do have to pay for your Magic Band to opt into this. However, it is yours to keep for life. You can use it at Disney World, at Disneyland, and now on Disney Cruise Line, they've integrated it. For some reason, Disney Cruise Line calls it Disney Band instead of Magic Band Plus. It's the same thing, which is very convenient if you're doing any sort of land and sea type vacation. If you were going from Disney World to a Port Canaveral cruise or Disneyland to a San Diego cruise, you can keep that same band. So what does this actually mean if you're going to Disneyland soon? Can you still use your Magic Band at Disneyland? Yes, absolutely. You can use it as your ticket. You can use it as a park ticket to scan into the parks, to scan into lightning lanes. You cannot use it to pay for things. You cannot use it to scan in and out of your hotel. This is not a change though. That's how it's always been at Disneyland Resort. It is different from how things are done in Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, but that's how Disneyland Resort has always been. So how do we actually buy a Magic Band if they're not available at Disneyland Resort? Order them ahead of time on the Disney Store. In the past, there's also been an option on the Disneyland app to purchase discounted Magic Bands. If you have park tickets purchased, if you are staying on property, they may have an option in the app, so keep an eye out for that. They may be phasing that out though. I know in previous Disney trips, I've been able to get discounted Magic Bands for my Disney World trips and my Disney cruise trips, but we'll see what happens with that. But if you do not have a Magic Band yet, you can absolutely purchase one. You just have to order it ahead of time. Can you use your Magic Band that you already have on Disneyland Resort with these new changes? Yes. As of now, Magic Bands can still be used the same way they've always been able to be used on Disneyland property, and that is to scan into the parks as your ticket and to scan into lightning lanes. And this is a little insider hack that I learned through going to several Disney trips. Your Magic Band is going to come with a charger. This is for sort of little like add-on functionalities that they have, little fun surprises where if you walk past certain statues or if you're in certain rides or if you're watching certain shows, your band will light up and react to those. It's a fun little feature, but the main functionality of that chip in your watch that you're going to use as your ticket is not affected by the charging. So if your watch dies, don't put it away. Don't think that you can't use it to scan into lightning lanes. You absolutely can. And like if you're heading out and you realize in the morning that you forgot to charge it, don't worry about that. You can still use it for that main functionality, which is as your ticket. How do you actually set up your Magic Band? I got this as a question on one of my previous videos. Out of all the things to worry about as far as prepping for your trip, the Magic Band is not one of them. The key is to, if you don't have it already, get it ordered ahead of time, have it come in for your trip and bring it with you. You can set it up on the app ahead of time. Just head to the Disneyland app and follow the instructions and it can integrate with your account. If you don't have time to do that or you can't figure it out ahead of time though, don't worry about it. Just talk with guest services once you're on the resort property. There are guest services staff available if you are staying at one of the Disney hotels, so you can get this figured out before you actually go into the parks. There are guest services cast members at the Disney Resort hotels that you can talk with them and get your Magic Band all set up before you actually go into the parks. So that is your update on all things Magic Band Plus. Everything we know right now for Disneyland Resort. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I do read and respond to all the comments, and I appreciate your feedback. If this is the first video of mine that you're watching, I actually have a whole playlist on how to have the best time at Disneyland with your little ones, specifically with tips on kids who are toddler age, ages 0 through 5. So I'll link that on this next screen for you. I'll also link my quick Disneyland 101 video if you just want like a quick 10-minute overview. If you found this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up button. That tells me to make more videos like this. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so my videos pop up in your feed. I'm also on Instagram at Jetstream Adventures, so make sure you're following there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.